and with that, we continue in Dusty Creek. A smaller section of the roller coaster is being adjusted because the hill is a bit too intense for the remaining speed, so I'll lower its height and steepness a bit. I'll also slightly tweak the long drawn-out curve before it since it glitches into a building. The queue also still needs to be connected to the park, but how? The position and everything else is so inconvenient, especially with the park boundary, that it could hardly be worse. So I experimented a lot, bit by bit, until I ended up with a final result I can live with. Since I've now removed the church from its original location, it needs a new place. Because the existing town is already pretty built up, I figured I'd simply place it in the newly constructed expanded area. This also helps the new section stand out more from the original part. And after spending the first half more or less working on the town, we now continue in the mine to complete it and make it look more realistic. I'm also adding a small gimmick. Up on the hill, workers are mining stones, and those stones are transported down using hanging mine carts on a cable system. I think that's something that could definitely have been realistic back in the day. But like many things, it all came together spontaneously. At first, I just wanted 2 posts, a rope, and a single floating minecart. Then I thought, it looks way too bare. It needed more detail. So I added coiled ropes. Empty minecarts didn't make sense either, so I filled them with rocks. Still, just floating there didn't look quite right. Hooks seemed like a good idea. So I attached hooks to the carts and added a tightly bent rope to connect them to the cable. But having everything perfectly horizontal looked off, so I adjusted the tilt of the rope slightly. Now I think it actually looks realistic. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Oh right, I also added a ladder so the miners can actually get up there. It would be kind of weird if there was no way for them to reach that spot. More wall torches here, more torches over there, a bit of terraforming in the back, and just like that, the real decorating can begin, with miners and rocks filling the scene. Oh, I kind of jumped ahead earlier with the ropes and adjusting the slope. Well, never mind, I got distracted by other things, which honestly isn't all that unlikely for me. At the end, I illuminate the roller coaster spiral and add more tree trunks as supports for the mine before continuing outside with more small plantings.